Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and here's the kitten. Everybody's asked about how the kitten's doing. She's doing great. She's growing finally, and she is a holy terror, and I love her so much. She has really seriously made my life so much better already. So just in case anybody was wondering how the kitten was doing, I thought I would pop up a little picture of her, and I will maybe include a clip at the end of this as well of some funny stuff she's gotten up to recently. But that's not why we're here. We're not here to talk about my kitten, although I could happily talk about my kitten for ages. I'm here to talk about my NonFiction November TBR. Now, you all know how much I love nonfiction, and NonFiction November is one of my most favorite times of the year. This is a month-long reading initiative hosted by Olive at A Book Olive and her team of fabulous folks that will be running multiple social media sites throughout the month of November to discuss nonfiction reading, nonfiction books, and some other activities they have planned. I will link Olive's channel down below where you can go watch her announcement and get all the links to everybody else that's involved. So this year, Olive has set up 4 one-word reading prompts the way she normally does, and those prompts are time, movement, buzz, and discovery. And my TBR, which is more of a pile of possibilities, thanks to Cousin for coining that phrase over at Always Doing. But my pile of possibilities, I've sort of loosely grouped into these word prompts. They're just generalized words. You could pretty much fit them into any nonfiction book you wanted to. And these are the books that I'm thinking I will read. Some of them I definitely will be reading because I'm buddy reading them. And others are just maybes, and I might, at some point substitute or whatever. You know how it goes. So let's just get to it. So for sure, I am going to be reading, and these first 3 books will be under the prompt Discovery. The first book that I think fits in this prompt is a book I'll be buddy reading with Joe Smith, and that's a book called Stolen Harvest by Vandana Shiva. And this, the subtitle of this book is The Hijacking of the Global Food Supply. Now, a few months ago, Joe and I read a book that dealt with GMOs in industrial agriculture, and we got really interested in that topic. That was the book by Ruth Ozeki that we read a few months ago. And so we decided that we wanted to read a book that explored more about genetically modified foods and sort of how that movement, how that industry has sort of developed over the last few decades. So we'll be reading that. The second book under my discovery prompt is a book I'll be buddy reading with Sean, the book Maniac, and that's The Ghost Orchard by Helen Humphreys. This is a nonfiction book all about apples in North America. So I first heard about that book from the channel Windsong Reads, and it sounded fascinating. I love apples, and being from the Northeast in the United States, apples, this time of year, apples is a big deal. I've already been apple picking this fall, something I like to do in the fall, and I'm really interested to learn more about the history of apples. So those 2 books I'll be definitely reading. And then another book in the discovery prompt that I am reading, I actually already started it in the last couple of days, is The Best American Science and Nature Writing. This is the 2019 compilation. It's edited by Montgomery. And you guys know, you've heard me talk about it a million times, how much I love these compilations. These are just, 20 or 25 short pieces of nonfiction. In this case, all about science and nature writing. There's an essay collection. There are other various collections. I particularly love the science and nature writing. And I've let this one languish on my shelf far too long. I will be picking up the 2020 version here before long because they usually come out in the fall. So those are the 3 books that I think fit under the discovery prompt. Now on to the movement prompt. The time prompt is next here on my stack. So for the first book in the time prompt, I am going to be picking up Stephen Hawking, A Memoir of Friendship and Physics by Leonard Mlodinow. This book was sent to me by Pantheon, so thank you to them. And I am very much interested in reading this memoir. Mlodinow worked with Stephen Hawking throughout their careers, and I have never read anything about Stephen Hawking before. I tend to be a little bit gun-shy when it comes to physics stuff, but obviously Stephen Hawking is a very fascinating individual who I think fits in very well with sort of the idea of time from the physics standpoint. I think this will be quite interesting. Plus that, I just love this cover. Every time I pick it up, I'm just in love with it again. Another book that has been on my TBR for a very long time is Brain on Fire, My Month of Madness. So it fits into the time category two ways, but both in time period and because it's been too long on my shelves. This is a book that my sister handed to me several years ago and said, this is a really awesome book, you should read it. I was like, oh yeah, it sounds really interesting. And I never got to it. So this is all about Susannah Helen, who wakes up alone at some point in a hotel room with no memory of how she has gotten there. And it's all about her month of having sort of like lost her memory. She's unable to move or speak. She's strapped to her bed. And so it's all about her finding out what had happened to her, what this illness was. Did she, was she descending into madness or was she ill from something else? So I've heard nothing but good things about this book. And it's about time I got to it. And then last in the time category is Operating Instructions, A Journal of My Son's First Year by Anne Lamott. Anne Lamott, of course, very celebrated writer. This is her memoir of her son's first year, and it's sort of written in daily journal entries. So I think that's a really nice choice for a month-long readathon in that it's a different sort of format and probably a little bit lighter of a read and something quick to get through. And again, it's been on my TBR for far too long. Okay, then heading into the movement category, I have a book about the feminist movement. This is The Essential Feminist Reader by Estelle B. Freedman. This is a collection of writings by different feminist activists. So this book actually spans a huge amount of historical time, from 1400s France all the way to 2000s US. You'll find very well-known people like Mary Wollstonecraft in here, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, and then all the way up into more modern folks that were working on these sorts of things, like Rebecca Walker, and other folks I've never heard of, Adrienne Rich. Some names that are familiar. So my friend Britta and everybody's favorite booktuber, Britta Bowler, sent me this for my birthday. So you hadn't seen it yet because I haven't done my October book haul, but I'm very excited to work my way through this. I think there's around 60 some different pieces of writing in here, and so I'm kind of hoping to pick away at this over the course of the month and maybe read like one or two a day in order to get through this and really sort of soak in the information that's in here. So looking forward to that one very much. And then again, for movement, I have a travel type book. This is In a Sunburned Country by Bill Bryson. I've talked about Bill Bryson before. I really enjoy his travel writings. A Walk in the Woods is one of my favorite books by him. And this one is about his time spent traveling around Australia. So very much interested in this one, and I love this cover so much with the kangaroo on the front. I think that's great. And again, this is another sort of lighter type read that will be helpful to intersperse with some of these heavier topics in my nonfiction stack for the month. And then the last prompt is for buzz. And buzz, I'm interpreting a couple of different ways. Of course, first of all, buzz, obviously, insects is what I think of. And so I am going to be reading Broadsides from the Other Orders, a book of bugs by Sue Hubble. And this book, Doris sent to me. So hopefully she and I will get a chance to read this one together in the month of November. I am super excited to read this book. I mean, you guys know I love science and nature writing. So a book about bugs, I'm very excited about, obviously, B on the cover for buzz. And then two books that have had a lot of buzz out in the bookish world recently. The first one is How to Be an Antiracist by Ibram X. Kendi. This has been obviously very much a buzz book ever since the Black Lives Matter movement has been, more in the forefront of our minds in 2020. This is a book that I picked up a couple of months ago and have been wanting to get to ever since, and have been just distracted with other things. And November is my month to get into this one. And I've heard that this is a good but challenging read, so getting myself ready for that one. And then last but certainly not least is a beautiful book that I have not shown yet on this channel. I just bought this for my birthday with some money that I received. And I love this naked hardcover. It's just absolutely gorgeous. This is Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This is a Milkweed Press book, so this fits for any press project for the month of November. It also fits for Indigathon because it's a book written by an Indigenous author. This is a collection of essays, nature writings by an Indigenous author. This is the 25th anniversary edition of this book. And I had been wanting to read it for such a long time. And when I saw this beautiful new edition that was being published this year, I was like, well, this is the time, right? This is the time to do this one. So super excited to pick this one up and dive into this. So those are the books that I am thinking of reading. I also have 2 nonfiction books that I'm currently reading at this moment that I will be finishing in November, that obviously are going to count towards my nonfiction. So the biggest thing for me was I looked back over my month of reading in 2020, and my best reading month for nonfiction so far was in July, where I read 9 books. So my goal is to read at least 10 books in November, in order to be my personal best for reading nonfiction in 1 month. So fingers crossed I can get it done. I do have quite a bit of time off in November with Thanksgiving holiday and Veterans Day and a bunch of different days off like that. So hopefully that will help me. Plus it's November, so it's cold, and with coronavirus cases heating up, this is the time to hunker down and get a lot of reading done. So I hope everybody else is going to participate in Nonfiction November as well. It's such a fabulous time to read and talk about nonfiction books. I am hoping to do weekly vlogs, just keeping you guys up to date with where I am with my nonfiction reading. And I would love to hear more about what you're planning to read for Nonfiction November. I've been watching a lot of TBR videos and really enjoying those. But if you haven't made a video or you don't make videos, let me know in the comments down below something that you're really excited to get to in Nonfiction November. All right, everyone, I will leave you with another clip of my new kitty, and I will talk to you later.